Okay, I'm gonna go to the next one. That's right.
As Baldy said, I'm George Ehring, and I'll be one of the co-hosts of this event tonight, along with Irene Wright, the president of the NDP Club.
No,
not anymore the president of the NDP.
No.
I didn't know that.
And lots of other things.
I'm behind the times. Well, you were only the president of the NDP Club for about, what, 25 years? So you're the president emeritus of the NDP Club.
I'm the grandmother of the NDP Club. I'm the grandmother of the NDP Club, that's what I am.
On behalf of the grandmother of the NDP Club and myself, I want to welcome you all and to thank you for coming to this celebration of Jack's life. I have to be honest with you, I'd much rather be celebrating by having a drink with Jack, but that's not going to happen. So we're going to have our own little event, and it will be recorded, and we will be sending it to Olivia within a few days once we've all put it together and packaged it. It will also be rebroadcast on the radio station at some point. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of background. I worked with Jack on and off for about 30 years. We've known each other, and we were involved in a number of different projects together. In 1991, I co-managed his campaign for mayor, which is one of the only campaigns he ever ran that he lost.
You have every reason to be optimistic, determined, and focused on the future. My only other advice is to cherish every moment with those you love at every stage of your journey, as I have done this summer. To the members of my party, we have done remarkable things together in the past 8 years. It has been a privilege to lead the New Democratic Party, and I'm most grateful for your confidence, your support, and the endless hours of volunteer commitment you have devoted to our cause. There will be those who will try to persuade you to give up our cause, but that cause is much bigger than any one leader. Answer them by recommitting with energy and determination to our work. Remember our proud history of social justice, universal health care, public pensions, and make sure no one is left behind. Let's continue to move forward. Let's demonstrate in everything we do in the 4 years before us that we are ready to serve our beloved Canada as its next government. To the members of the Parliamentary Caucus, I have been privileged to work with each and every one of you. Our caucus meetings were always the highlight of my week. It has been my role to ask a great deal from you, and now I am going to do so again. Canadians will be closely watching you in the months to come. Colleagues, I know you will make the tens of thousands of members of our party proud of you by demonstrating the same seamless teamwork and solidarity that has earned us the confidence of millions of Canadians in the recent election. To my fellow Quebecers, on May 2nd, you made a historic decision. You decided that the way to replace Canada's Conservative federal government with something better was by working together in partnership with progressive-minded Canadians across the country. You made the right decision then, and it is still the right decision today, and it will be the right decision right through to the next election when we will succeed together. You have elected a superb team of New Democrats to Parliament. They're going to be doing remarkable things in the years to come to make the country better for us all. To young Canadians, all my life I have worked to make things better. Hope and optimism have defined my political career, and I continue to be hopeful and optimistic about Canada. Young people have been a great source of inspiration for me. I have met and talked with so many of you about your dreams, your frustrations, and your ideas for change. More and more you are engaging in politics because you want to change things for the better. Many of you have placed your trust in our party. As my time in political life draws to a close, I want to share with you my belief in your power to change this country and this world. There are great challenges before you, from the overwhelming nature of climate change to the unfairness of an economy that excludes so many from our collective wealth, and the changes necessary to build a more inclusive and generous Canada. I believe in you. Your energy, your vision, your passion for justice are exactly what this country needs today. You need to be at the heart of our economy, our political life, and our plans for the present and the future. And finally, to all Canadians, Canada is a great country, one of the hopes of the world. We can be a better one, a country of greater equality, justice, and opportunity, We can build a prosperous economy and a society that shares its benefits more fairly. We can look after our seniors. We can offer better futures for our children. We can do our part to save the world's environment. We can restore our good name in the world. We can do all of these things because we finally have a party system at the national level where there are real choices, where your vote matters, where working for change can actually bring about change. In the months and years to come, New Democrats will put a compelling new alternative to you. My colleagues in our party are an impressive, committed team. Give them a careful hearing. Consider the alternatives and consider that we can do a better, fairer, and more equal country by working together. Don't let them tell you it can't be done. And then he closes. My friends, love is better than anger. Hope is better than fear. Optimism is better than despair. So let us be loving, hopeful, and optimistic, and we'll change the world. All my best, Jack Layton. And this was written 2 days before he passed away.
Thanks, Irene, and I have to say thanks to Jack. I've heard people say that they were amazed that Jack could write a letter like that 2 days before he would die. Pardon me. I have to tell you, that is totally Jack. That's his voice. Those are his words. It sounds exactly like the guy we all knew. And it's not surprising to me, not in the least, that he would do that just before he died. Now, music was a very big part of Jack's life. He played the guitar, he played the piano, he played the saxophone, he played the harmonica. He sang at the drop of a hat and loved it all. His house.
And this is probably happening in many places. So the songs just come out of nowhere. Sometimes they do. This came up today.
In front of me here.
And if you feel like repeating the last line of each verse, you're welcome to. I'll play it again just to make that a possibility. But there are no sing-along police here in the park tonight, so this is not essential. In voice? Dale! Yes, you are okay. Hey, thanks, Jack Layton, for a legacy that rocks. You've left, we're all bereft, but we're pulling up our socks. We're pulling up our socks. We'll likely need a few pair to fill those boots of yours. Hooray for social justice. Sometimes the good guy scores. Thank God for social justice. Sometimes the good guys score. Thanks, Jack Layton. Merci de chaque Canuck. Nous tous souvenirons. Maintenant et tout les temps. Nous tous souvenirons. Maintenant et tous les temps. My apologies to everyone of Franco-Canadian heritage in the audience here tonight. That means now and forever, I believe. To the late Jack Layton, thanks for giving us a world. For my granddaughter Peyton, our granddaughter Peyton's gonna have a better world. What's roaring on me there? It's a guitar microphone. This guy down here, you're gonna repeat that one. Thanks, Jack, to the late Jack Layton. Thanks for giving it a whirl. Now our granddaughter Peyton's gonna have a better world. All of our grandchildren everywhere are gonna have a better world. Damn, we're gonna miss you, your spunk and your soul. We cannot replace you, but we can achieve your goals. We cannot replace you, woo, but we can achieve your goals.
Or perhaps it will come while I am sitting in my soft chair wrapped up in my blanket. I will not sigh, so that others can go on with their business, thinking me to be fast asleep. I will know that what I always suspected, that death is not a mystery, but a guide to birth. Birth, everything begins with it: child, plant, river, earth and sun, stars and beyond. And then there is what we do not see or hear, the spirit life that some do fear. Let someone else. I've made peace with the world, and I'm grateful for everything. Let someone else say, life is good. Chief Dan George.
I brought with me a tribute tonight by a grassroots organizer and fine songwriter named Sai Khan from south of the border. And it's got a part for all of us to share together tonight. It's great looking out on all of you tonight. Old fighter, you sure took it on the chin. Where'd you get the strength to stand, never giving up or giving in? You know I just want to shake your hand, because people like you go on. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. I can recall sitting over at Chipstone's with Jack and Olivia one summer afternoon when they came to the island to visit, and we sat there for the entire afternoon, and Jack and Olivia kept eating clams and oysters and more clams and a few more oysters, and there was a fair bit of beer. And after a while, Jack started to talk about low flush toilets. And I thought, where on earth does a guy like this, he's already the federal leader, you know, and now he starts to go on about low flush toilets. Now, of course, Jack was an urban guy through and through, and he says, you know, the thing about low flush toilets, and by this point I want to say that he wasn't just talking to me and Olivia, he was talking to everybody who was out there on the patio, whether they liked it or not. And you think, you know, this is the place to talk about low flush toilets. And the thing that really got him going, he said, thinking about, again, he's an urban guy, he says, have you ever carried a couple of buckets of water up to the 20th floor of an apartment building to pour them in a toilet? And I don't think too many people have that experience, but his point was, it's the energy consumption. It's an awful lot of energy that's used. And so, you know, when we use low flush toilets, you're saving a lot of energy. Do better organizing, involve more people, get more people on side, change their minds, get them thinking about it and participating in a new way. That's the thing that Jack just had it in spades, and people do mention that incurable optimism. It was incurable, and I tell you, he really was like that 24 hours a day. It was remarkable. Last little anecdote for me, and then Irene is going to share some. You may have seen in the media recently this Olivia remarking on a game that they would play together called Sound Bites. Maybe you heard about this. And they really did this. They would be sitting down, oh, you know, they used to eat dinner at 10 o'clock at night if they were home in time. And they would play this soundbite game, trying to, you know, they would name a topic, whatever issue was current for that day, and the two of them would compete with each other to see how short a soundbite they could make on that issue. Homelessness, climate change, whatever it happened to be. And Olivia used to say that she would get her sound bites down to 8 or 9 words, and Jack was always more like 15 or 17. And then they would get in bed, look at the late night news, and see if either one of them had made it onto the news from the previous day with their sound bite. And this was really them. And you know, that's where my heart goes out to Olivia, because these two were complete partners in every imaginable way. They fed off each other. Olivia is every bit as wise and as shrewd as Jack, and contributed so much to what he did and his success. It's extraordinary what she's able to do. In 1996, Jack and Olivia were walking home up Spadina Avenue. They live on College Street. Walking up from City Hall home, and it was a brutally cold night. And on their way, they stopped by 2 homeless people on the street and checked on them and made sure that they were okay. And they were. And Jack and Olivia went home and they talked about homelessness, and they're both city councilors at this time. And they thought, you know, this responsibility rests in part with us. We as councilors need to be doing something more about this. They learned in the morning when they listened to the radio that a man named Eugene Upper had frozen to death in a bus shelter on Spadina Avenue, just across the street from where they stopped to check on the 2 homeless guys in the doorway. And Jack and Olivia were shocked. That same night, another homeless man died in Toronto, and they didn't even know about that for a couple of days. And right after that, a third died. This really galvanized them to thinking, we have got to do something about this. They did a press release. They had a news conference right there at the bus shelter where Eugene Upper died. And Jack would go on a couple of years later to write a book about homelessness, and he dedicated that book to Eugene Upper for helping to bring that issue front and center for him. And all the proceeds from that book go to nonprofit organizations, NGOs in the country working on affordable housing. That's the kind of person that Jack was and that Olivia is, and recognizing this as a gut instinct that this is something that we need to be dealing with.